I invited my son and his fiancée to Christmas dinner. They never came. She thought I didn't know. I was standing in my kitchen at 6:15 in the morning. The coffee maker was dripping slow, like it always did. I bought that coffee maker 10 years ago, when Ellen was still alive. She picked it out because it had a stainless steel finish. She said it looked expensive. I said we could not afford it. She bought it anyway. That was Ellen. She always got what she wanted. I miss her every single day. But that is not the story. The story is about what happened after she was gone. What happened when I thought my son was the only good thing left in my life. My name is Frank. I am 71 years old. I live in a small ranch house on a quiet street in Ohio. The house is paid off. The yard is small, but I keep it nice. I have a garden in the back where I grow tomatoes and peppers. Nothing fancy, just enough to keep my hands busy. I retired 5 years ago from the Ford plant. 38 years on the line. My back is shot. My knees are garbage, but I am still standing. I have a son named Kevin. He is 43. He is my only child. His mother and I had him late. We tried for years. Doctors said it would not happen. Then one day Ellen was pregnant. We were over the moon. Kevin was everything to us. I worked double shifts for 15 years so he could have what I did not. He went to college. He got a degree in marketing. He got a job at a firm in Columbus. He met a girl. Her name is Vanessa. And that is where everything started to rot. Vanessa came into our lives about 8 years ago. Kevin brought her to Thanksgiving dinner. She was pretty. Tall, dark hair, big smile. She laughed at my jokes. She helped Ellen in the kitchen. She asked me about my time at the plant. I thought she was wonderful. I remember telling Ellen that night that Kevin finally found a good one. Ellen smiled, but there was something in her eyes. She said, "She seems nice, honey. Just give it time." Ellen always had a radar for people. She could smell a liar from across the room. I never had that gift. I always saw the best in everyone. It is the thing that has cost me everything. Kevin and Vanessa dated for 2 years. Then they got engaged. I was thrilled. Ellen was sick by then. Cancer. The bad kind. The kind that does not ask permission. She fought hard. She went to every appointment. She took every pill. She never complained. She just wanted to see Kevin get married. She made it to the wedding. Barely. She was in a wheelchair. She wore a blue dress that hung loose on her because she had lost so much weight, but she smiled the whole day. I have that picture on my nightstand. Ellen smiling in that blue dress. Kevin kissing her cheek. Vanessa standing behind them looking like a model. That was the last happy day of my life. Ellen died 4 months later. The first year after Ellen died was a fog. I do not remember much of it. I know I stopped eating. I know I stopped going outside. I know Kevin came to visit every Sunday. He would bring Vanessa. They would sit with me for a few hours. Vanessa would make me dinner. She would clean the kitchen. She would tell me to take care of myself. I was grateful. I was so grateful. I thought she was an angel. I thought God sent her to me because he took Ellen. I was wrong. I was so wrong. It started small. Kevin started asking about money. He said he and Vanessa wanted to buy a house, but they needed help with the down payment. I had savings. Ellen and I saved for 40 years. We were careful. We did not take vacations. We drove old cars. We put money away every month for retirement. I had about $300,000 in the bank, plus the house, plus some stocks. I was comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. Kevin asked for $40,000 for the down payment. I said yes, because he was my son, because I loved him, because I thought that is what fathers do. They help their children build a life. Vanessa cried when I wrote the check. She hugged me. She said, "You are the best father-in-law anyone could ask for." She said, "Kevin is so lucky to have you." She said, "We are going to take care of you when you get old." I believed her. I believed every word. They bought the house. A nice place in the suburbs. 4 bedrooms, a 2-car garage, a big backyard. I helped them move in. I carried boxes even though my back was screaming. I hung pictures. I installed shelves. I fixed a leaky faucet in the guest bathroom. Kevin stood there watching me. He did not lift a finger. Vanessa brought me iced tea and told me I was amazing. I did not see it then. I see it now. I was the free labor. I was the ATM. I was the old man they could use until I was empty. The next few years were a blur of small things. Little requests for money, $2,000 for new tires, $5,000 for a vacation, $3,000 for a new couch, $1,500 for Vanessa's birthday present. It was always something. And I always said yes because I did not want to be alone. I thought if I said no, they would stop coming around. That was my fear. That was the leash they had on me, the fear of being alone. So I kept writing checks. I kept smiling. I kept telling myself this is what family does. Then the grandchildren came. 2 of them, a boy named Lucas and a girl named Mia. Beautiful kids, smart, funny. I loved them more than I thought possible. I watched them every Tuesday and Thursday. Vanessa worked from home, but she said she needed the quiet. So I would drive 45 minutes to their house at 7 in the morning. I would stay until 6 at night. I changed diapers, I made bottles, I read stories, I pushed swings, I taught Lucas how to throw a baseball, I taught Mia how to draw a flower. I was exhausted, but I loved it. I loved being needed. I loved feeling like I still had a purpose. Vanessa was always nice to me when I was watching the kids. She would bring me coffee. She would thank me. She would say, "You are a lifesaver, Frank." She would say, "We could not do this without you." But something was off. I started to notice things. She would whisper on the phone in the other room. She would close doors when I walked by. She would look at Kevin, and they would have these silent conversations. Little glances, little nods. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I was just an old man looking for problems. I was wrong. One Tuesday, I showed up early. The door was unlocked. I walked in and heard Vanessa in the kitchen. She was on the phone. She did not hear me come in. I stood in the hallway and I heard her say, "He is not going to live forever. I just need to keep him happy until the house is in our name." I froze. My heart stopped. She laughed and said, "The old man is so blind. He would give me his kidney if I asked nicely." Then she heard me. I saw her face when she turned around, white as a sheet. She dropped the phone. She said, "Frank, I did not hear you come in." I said, "Obviously." She started talking fast, making excuses, saying she was talking about her boss, saying she was just frustrated with work. I nodded. I pretended to believe her. But something cracked inside me that day, something that never healed. I did not tell Kevin what I heard. I should have, but I was afraid. Afraid he would choose her, afraid he would call me crazy, afraid I would lose my son and my grandchildren. So I kept quiet. I kept showing up. I kept watching the kids. I kept writing checks, but I started watching closer. I started paying attention. I started keeping a mental list of every lie, every glance, every whispered conversation. 6 months later, Kevin came to my house alone. He sat on my couch. He looked nervous. He said, "Dad, we need to talk about your will." I said, "What about it?" He said, "Vanessa thinks you should put the house in a trust. She says it will protect it from taxes when you pass. She says it will make things easier for us." I looked at my son, the boy I taught to ride a bike, the boy I stayed up with when he had fevers, the boy I worked double shifts for so he could have new sneakers for basketball. And I saw a stranger, a man who was asking me to hand over the only thing I had left, the house Ellen and I bought together, the house where she died in my arms, the house where every wall, every floor, every window holds 40 years of memories. I said, "I will think about it." Kevin smiled. He hugged me. He said, "Thanks, Dad. You are the best." He left. I sat in my recliner for 3 hours. I did not move. I just stared at the wall. Ellen's picture was on the table next to me. I picked it up. I said, "I think they are trying to steal everything." I said, "I think my son is helping her do it." The picture did not answer. Pictures never do. I hired a lawyer, an old friend named Pete who I played poker with for 20 years. Pete is retired, but he still has his license. I told him everything, the money I gave them. The things I heard Vanessa say, the request about the trust. Pete listened. He did not say much. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and rubbed his eyes. He said, "Frank, I am going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." I said, "Okay." He said, "Do you want to know the truth?" even if it destroys you. I said, yes. He said, then let me do some digging. Give me 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks were the longest of my life. I could not sleep. I could not eat. I kept seeing Vanessa's face in my mind. That smile, those eyes. I kept hearing her voice. The old man is so blind. I started going through my bank statements. I started adding up every check I wrote to Kevin and Vanessa over the years. The total was $187,000. $187,000. That is not help. That is theft with a smile. That is a parasite feeding on an old man's love. Pete called me on a Friday afternoon. He said, Frank, you need to come to my office. Do not say anything to Kevin. Do not say anything to Vanessa. Just come. I drove there with my hands shaking on the wheel. I sat down in Pete's office. He had a folder on his desk, thick. He opened it and started talking. He said, I found the deed to your house, the original deed, the one you and Ellen signed. He said, I also found a second deed, one you did not sign. I said, what do you mean? He said, Vanessa forged your signature 6 months ago. She transferred the house into Kevin and her name.
The house is not yours anymore, Frank. It has not been yours for half a year. I could not breathe. I could not speak. I just sat there. Pete kept talking, but I could not hear him. The room was spinning. I thought about Ellen. I thought about the day we bought that house. She was 32 years old. Her hair was long and brown. She wore a yellow sundress. She held my hand while we walked through the empty rooms. She said, this is where we are going to grow old together. This is where our grandchildren are going to come for Christmas. This is where we are going to die. And I said, yes, baby, this is our home. And now it was not mine anymore. It was theirs. They took it while I was watching their children, while I was changing their diapers, while I was buying their groceries. They took it because they thought I was too old and too stupid to notice. Pete said, we can fight this. We can take them to court. We have the forged documents. We have the handwriting experts. We have a good case. But it is going to cost you, and it is going to tear your family apart. I looked at Pete. I said, what family? He did not answer. I drove to Kevin and Vanessa's house that night. I did not call first. I just went. I walked up to the front door and knocked. Kevin opened it. He looked surprised. He said, Dad, what are you doing here? I pushed past him. Vanessa was in the living room. The kids were watching television in the other room. I stood in the middle of their beautiful living room with their expensive furniture and their perfect decorations. I looked at Vanessa. I said, I know about the house. The color drained from her face. Kevin said, what is she talking about? I said, ask your wife. Ask her about the deed. Ask her about the signature. Kevin turned to Vanessa. He said, what did you do? Vanessa started crying, big dramatic tears. She said, Kevin, I can explain. I said, no, you cannot. You stole my house. You stole my son. You stole my grandchildren. You stole everything I had, and you smiled while you did it. Kevin looked at me. His face was confused, hurt, angry. He said, Dad, she would not do that. She would not. I said, the forged documents are with my lawyer. The handwriting expert says it is not my signature. It is hers. She learned to copy it while she was stealing my money for years. Kevin looked at Vanessa. She was sobbing now, saying she did it for them, for their future, for the kids. She said the house was going to be theirs anyway when Frank died. She just moved the timeline up. She just wanted to protect them. I laughed. I actually laughed. I said, protect them from what? From having to wait for me to die? That is what you said. I heard you. The old man is so blind. You thought I didn't hear you? You thought I was stupid? You thought I would just fade away and let you take everything. Kevin sat down on the couch. He put his head in his hands. He said, Dad, I did not know. I swear I did not know.
I said, you asked me to put the house in a trust. You were helping her. You were in on it. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes. He said, no, Dad. She told me the trust was your idea. She said you wanted to do it. She said you came to her because you trusted her more than me. I believed her. I looked at Vanessa. She was not crying anymore. Her face was hard, cold. She said, "Fine. You want to know the truth? Here it is. I married Kevin because I thought his parents had money. Your wife was nice, but she was sick. I knew she would die soon. I thought you would follow her within a year, 2 at most. Then everything would be mine, Kevin's, the kids. But you did not die. You just kept living, kept showing up, kept breathing. So I had to take matters into my own hands. I took the house because I was tired of waiting for you to drop dead." The room was silent. Kevin was crying. Lucas and Mia were standing in the doorway. They heard everything. Mia was holding her stuffed rabbit. She said, "Grandma Vanessa, why are you being mean to Grandpa?" Vanessa looked at her daughter. She did not say anything. She just turned and walked out of the room. She went upstairs. We heard a door slam. Kevin sat there like a broken man. I looked at my son. I said, "You married a monster." He said, "I know." I said, "You let her destroy us." He said, "I know." I said, "I will never forgive you for this." He said, "I know." I left. I walked out of that house and drove home. The drive took 45 minutes.
I do not remember any of it. I woke up the next morning in my recliner. I had not made it to bed. The television was still on, some infomercial about a mop. I sat there for a long time. I looked around my living room. The couch Ellen picked out. The curtains she sewed. The china cabinet her mother gave her. None of it was mine anymore. None of it was real. The house was theirs. They owned it. They owned me. Pete filed the lawsuit. It took 8 months. 8 months of depositions and hearings and legal fees. 8 months of watching my son choose his wife over me again and again. 8 months of not seeing my grandchildren. 8 months of eating dinner alone in a house that legally belonged to the woman who called me an old man who would not die fast enough. The court ruled in my favor. The deed was voided. The house was returned to me. Vanessa was ordered to pay restitution for the forged documents, but she did not have any money. She had spent it all. The house, the cars, the vacations, the furniture. It was all gone. The money I gave them was gone. The house was back in my name, but the damage was done. I sit here now in my living room. The same living room, the same couch, the same curtains, the same china cabinet. But it feels different. It feels empty. Ellen's picture is still on the table. I still talk to her sometimes. I tell her I am sorry. I tell her I failed Kevin. I tell her I should have seen it sooner. I should have protected us. She does not answer. She never does. Kevin comes to visit once a month. He comes alone. Vanessa left him. She took the kids and moved to Florida. She has a new boyfriend, some guy with a boat and a ponytail. Kevin is broken. He lost his wife. He lost his kids. He lost his father. He lost his house. He lives in a small apartment near the highway. He works a job he hates. He looks old, older than me. We sit in silence most of the time. We do not talk about what happened. We cannot. The words are too heavy. Sometimes he says, "I am sorry." I say, "I know." That is all we have left. 2 words. I know. I see Lucas and Mia twice a year. Vanessa sends them for a week in the summer. They are different now, quieter. They do not laugh the way they used to. Lucas does not want to play baseball anymore. Mia does not want to draw. They just sit on the couch and stare at their phones. I try to talk to them. I try to reach them, but something is gone. Something was stolen that I cannot get back. Vanessa took more than my house. She took my grandchildren's innocence. She took their trust. She took their ability to believe that family means something. I am 71 years old. I have a house that feels like a museum. I have a son who is a ghost. I have grandchildren who do not know me. I have a savings account with $17,000 left. I have a truck that needs a new transmission. I have a garden that grows tomatoes no one eats. I have a coffee maker that drips slow every morning.
I have Ellen's picture on the table. I have nothing else. The holidays are the worst. Christmas used to be my favorite. Ellen would cook for 2 days. Kevin would help me put up the lights. The whole house would smell like cinnamon and pine. Last Christmas, I sent Kevin a text. I said, "Come over for dinner. I will make a ham." He said, "Okay." He never showed. I sat at the table for 3 hours. The ham got cold. The potatoes turned to glue. The pie sat on the counter untouched. I finally put everything in the trash. I washed the dishes. I went to bed at 8 o'clock. I stared at the ceiling until midnight. I listened to the neighbors celebrate. I heard their laughter through the walls. I wondered what it felt like to laugh like that. I could not remember. Vanessa thought she won. She thought she could take everything and leave me with nothing. But she was wrong about one thing. She thought I did not know. She thought I was blind. She thought I was just a stupid old man who would never figure it out. But I figured it out. I figured it out and I fought back. And I kept my house. So I won. I won the legal battle. I won the piece of paper that says this is my property. But I lost everything else. I lost my son. I lost my grandchildren. I lost my peace. I lost my trust. I lost the belief that love means something, that family means something, that the people you raise will not turn around and eat you alive. I am sitting in my recliner right now. It is raining outside.
The rain is hitting the window that Ellen used to look through while she drank her morning tea. I am drinking coffee from a mug that says, "World's Best Grandpa." Lucas and Mia gave it to me 3 years ago, before everything fell apart. I run my thumb over the letters, "World's Best Grandpa." I wonder if that is still true. I wonder if they still think of me that way. I wonder if they think of me at all. My phone is sitting on the arm of the chair. It is not ringing. It never rings. I have 237 contacts in my phone. Family, friends, old coworkers, people I have known for 50 years. But the only person who calls me is the pharmacist to remind me to pick up my blood pressure medicine. That is my life now. A weekly call from a robot voice telling me to take my pills. I look at Ellen's picture. I say I am tired. I say I am so tired. The rain keeps falling. The coffee gets cold. The clock on the wall ticks louder than it used to. Or maybe I just hear it more now because the house is so quiet. Because the silence is so loud. Because the only thing left is the sound of an old man breathing alone in a house that almost got stolen by a woman who smiled while she lied. Vanessa is in Florida. She is posting pictures on Facebook of her new life. The beach, the boat, the boyfriend with the ponytail. She is smiling in every picture. She looks happy. She looks like she never lost a moment of sleep over what she did. I do not look at her pictures anymore.
I blocked her. But Kevin looks. He tells me about them sometimes. He says she looks good. He says she looks happy. He says he does not understand how she can be happy after what she did. I tell him to stop looking. He says he cannot. He says it is like a car accident. He cannot look away. I think about forgiveness sometimes. I think about whether I could ever forgive her, whether I could ever forgive Kevin, whether I could ever forgive myself for being so blind for so long. I do not have an answer. I do not think there is one. Some things do not have forgiveness attached to them. Some things are just broken. You can glue the pieces back together, but you can still see the cracks. You can still feel the places where the wind comes through. The rain is slowing down now. The sky is getting lighter. I need to go to the grocery store. I need milk and bread, and maybe some soup. I will drive my truck with the bad transmission. I will walk through the aisles alone. I will put things in my cart and take them out again because I cannot remember what I came for. I will come home and put the groceries away. I will sit in this chair. I will watch the news. I will fall asleep with the television on. I will wake up tomorrow and do it all again. That is my life now. That is the life Vanessa left me with. A quiet, empty, predictable life where nothing happens and no one calls, and the only sound is the drip of a coffee maker and the tick of a clock and the rain on the window.
Ellen used to say, "Be careful who you let into your heart." She said, "Not everyone who smiles at you loves you. Some people smile because they want something." I did not listen. I let them in. I gave them everything. And now I am sitting here with nothing but a cold cup of coffee and a picture of a woman who has been dead for 7 years, and a son who cannot look me in the eye, and grandchildren who do not know how to laugh anymore. Vanessa thought I did not know, but I knew. I knew the moment I heard her on that phone. I knew when I saw the look on her face. I knew when Pete showed me that deed. I knew, and I fought, and I kept my house. So I won. But winning feels exactly like losing. It feels exactly like sitting alone in a quiet house on a rainy morning with no one to talk to, and nothing to look forward to, and no reason to get out of this chair. The rain has stopped. The sun is coming out. I can see the garden through the window. The tomatoes are almost ready. They are red and ripe, and no one will eat them. I will pick them anyway. I will put them in a bowl on the kitchen counter. I will watch them rot, because that is what I do now. I watch things rot. I watch the tomatoes. I watch the memories. I watch the love that used to be here. I watch it all turn to dust. My phone is still not ringing. It is almost noon. I should get up. I should go to the store. I should do something. But I stay in this chair. I stay because this chair is the only place that feels safe.
This chair is the only thing that has not betrayed me. This chair does not lie. This chair does not steal. This chair just holds me up while I fall apart. I close my eyes. I see Ellen's face. She is young again. She is wearing that yellow sundress. She is standing in the empty living room of a house we just bought. She is spinning in a circle with her arms out. She is laughing. She is so beautiful. She says, "Frank, this is our home. This is where we are going to grow old together." I open my eyes. The living room is empty. The house is quiet. Ellen is gone. Kevin is gone. The grandchildren are gone. Vanessa is in Florida with a man who has a ponytail. And I am here, in this chair, in this house, in this life that I built with my own hands and watched other people try to burn to the ground. The sun is fully out now. The rain has washed the windows clean. I can see the street. A young couple is walking their dog. They are laughing. They are holding hands. The dog is pulling on the leash. The woman is wearing a yellow sundress. For a second, I think it is Ellen. For a second, my heart jumps. Then I remember, Ellen is gone. The woman in the yellow sundress is just a stranger, just another person living a life I used to have. I push myself up from the chair. My knees pop. My back screams. I walk to the kitchen. I pour myself another cup of coffee. The pot is almost empty. I do not have the energy to make more. I drink the coffee standing at the window. I watch the couple disappear around the corner. I watch the dog sniff a fire hydrant. I watch a car drive by. I watch the world move without me. Because that is what it does. It moves. It does not stop for old men with broken hearts. It does not care that my son betrayed me. It does not care that my daughter-in-law tried to steal everything. It just keeps going. And I am still here, still breathing, still holding on to a house that feels like a tomb. I set the mug down. I walk to Ellen's picture. I pick it up. I hold it to my chest. I close my eyes. I say I love you. I say I am sorry. I say I tried. Then I put the picture back on the table. I walk to the front door. I open it. The air smells like rain and fresh-cut grass. I step outside. The sun is warm on my face. I look at the sky. It is blue. clear, beautiful, the kind of sky Ellen would have called a gift. I take a breath. I let it out. I take another. I walk to my truck. I open the door. I get in. I turn the key. The engine sputters and starts. I put the truck in reverse. I back out of the driveway. I drive to the grocery store. I buy milk and bread and soup. I drive home. I put the groceries away. I sit back down in my chair. I look at Ellen's picture. I say, I am still here. I am still here. And no matter what they took from me, I am still here. That is the only victory that matters. That is the only thing Vanessa cannot take. I am still here. I am still breathing. I am still standing.
And somewhere in Florida, she is smiling. But I am here, in my house, in my chair, in my life. And I am not going anywhere. Not until I am ready. Not until I have squeezed every last drop out of this broken, beautiful, terrible life. That is the last thing I have left. That is the only thing that belongs to me now. The stubborn refusal to disappear. The stubborn refusal to let her win. The stubborn refusal to stop breathing just because she wanted me to stop. I am Frank. I am 71 years old. I have a house. I have a garden. I have a coffee maker that drips slow. I have a son who is a ghost. I have grandchildren who do not know me. I have a picture of a woman I loved for 40 years. And I am still here. That is all. That is everything.